Our county's firefighters have been without a contract now for more than 2 years. Their union and the Board of Supervisors have been locked in a contentious negotiation session for nearly that long. Firefighters have had little or no raise in a decade. Some worked thousands of hours of overtime last year and spent weeks away from home fighting the most devastating wildfires in California history. But the fire budget is millions of dollars over budget. That money that pays for the overtime must come from other county departments. In all of our newscasts today, 17 News is taking a deep dive into the situation. Our Alex Fisher has been analyzing the fire facts for the better part of 11 months and has this report.
A fiscal emergency was declared in 2016. The county says there is good news. We're seeing a reduction in the multi-million-dollar deficit in Kern's general fund. But county officials say the fire department continues to be a major contributor to that deficit. And the massive overtime built in the scheduling system magnifies already extravagant pensions, meaning taxpayers will carry the expensive burden for years. Day in and day out, we depend on our firefighters to keep us safe. Their everyday bravery makes them heroes to just about everyone. And with the year-round fire season we have now,
this is definitely the most destructive and devastating fire that I've ever been on.
Our local fire crews are spread thin, but there's another emergency here at home.
We're spending more than we're taking in.
A fiscal crisis with a huge deficit that threatens all departments in the county. Last year, as the county cut services to balance the general fund budget, fire department spending increased.
The fire department is spending $8.8 million more than they have. We are trying to address that in a climate where it's very hard to address.
That's County Administrative Officer Ryan Alsop. He runs the county, but he's not the county's highest paid employee.
We wouldn't be talking about 450 acres.
That distinction goes to a Kern County fire captain. The $283,000 Captain Kerry Wright made last year was more than what Alsop made. It's more than the fire chief or the district attorney. Last year, Wright made more in overtime alone than the salary of Sheriff Donna Youngblood. And he wasn't alone. Of the 100 highest paid employees in Kern County, 67 were firefighters. Only 3 were high-ranking chiefs. Most worked in fire stations where they earned enough overtime to significantly add to their annual regular pay. 22 firefighters each earned more than $100,000 in overtime. Dozens earned more than $75,000 in OT. The total cost for overtime last year, $24 million. By comparison, of the 100 highest paid employees of the city of Bakersfield, 35 were firefighters. The most overtime accumulated by one city firefighter last year was an engineer who made $65,000 in OT. Through the California Public Records Act, we were able to find of the 521 firefighters in the Kern County Fire Department, only 1 is a woman. Only 4 identify as black. About 17% identify as Hispanic. 77% identify as white. That does not mirror Kern County's demographics, with more than half of residents identifying as Hispanic and 35% identifying as white. Our experienced fire crews are sent to battle intense firestorms all over the state. Just last year, our local firefighters were on the front lines of the Woolsey, Camp, Carr, and Ferguson megafires, just to name a few. Some spent weeks away from their families, fighting with grit and determination until they were left exhausted. And while some overtime is reimbursed by the state, their pensions are not. The massive overtime accumulated in just a single year can have an expensive and decades-long impact on our county's budget.
We don't have any expectation that they're purposefully abusing the system, but the system is set up for them to benefit from it in a maximum capacity.
The county commissioned a massive audit asking a consulting firm of retired firefighters to analyze county fire operations and recommend cost savings. That report was highly complimentary of our county fire department. It said our firefighters are highly skilled and their workload is significant and demanding. But the report notes these exemplary services come at a cost to you, the taxpayer. and to other county services. It highlights what it calls a very unique schedule. County firefighters are on duty for 48 hours straight, then off for 48 hours. They repeat this 3 times, then have 8 days off. The scheduling system permits employees to swap shifts freely. Stacking multiple consecutive work shifts entitles them to multiple 8-day off duty periods. That gives firefighters a lot of options, including living outside the county they serve. We filed a public records request for home addresses and found 30% of Kern County firefighters live outside Kern. Some don't even live in California. Some live in Wyoming, Idaho, and Texas. The fire union says there's a bigger picture to consider.
This is a career. This is a 30-year career. So we have to look at where those individuals are at in their career. Are they setting themselves up to retire and don't want to retire in California? The other thing that we have to take into consideration is the quality of life that they want to give their families.
Administrators worry about the quality of the county's financial life.
We are at opposite ends. They are asking for a 27% increase in salary, in base salary, and we are saying you're spending almost $9 million more than you actually have, and we have to find cuts. We came to work for a wage, and there has been no progression in that wage for such a long time that we're having, through inflation, we're having to find other ways to pay our bills. Often overlook is that the overtime opportunity does allow for us to make up what's lacking in wage.
And that's why the county and its firefighters can't agree on a contract. The two declared impasse in May. A third-party mediator, known as a fact finder, came in to give recommendations that would benefit both sides. We obtained that final report. It confirms our county firefighters have not seen a substantial pay increase in more than a decade, but it says firefighters have increased their pay with large amounts of overtime. Firefighters respond to some of the most dangerous and grueling emergencies and respond with force.
We're an insurance policy for the citizens is what we are.
That's why the fire union says there should be no restrictions on overtime.
We're required to provide that service. If you start putting limitations on the amount of hours that somebody's able to work, you may run into staffing issues where you don't have a station that's staffed that day. And I do honestly feel that we're playing with the lives of the community when we're taking and making decisions in the manner that we are.
But with a shrinking budget, cost-saving measures must be taken seriously in order to avoid a financial disaster.
It's the right thing to do, and I think it's the right thing to do whether we're in a fiscal emergency or not.
During negotiations earlier this year, the Kern County Firefighters Union asked for a 26% raise in 5 steps. They say some firefighters must work multiple jobs to make ends meet, and say that's one of the main reasons a third of county firefighters are actively looking to move to other agencies. But the county says it can't offer that raise. It is offering no salary increases. Our county firefighters make less in base pay than city firefighters, and the gap becomes more apparent as a firefighter climbs the ranks. But many county firefighters are taking home significantly more total pay because of overtime. A fact-finding report obtained by 17 News says firefighters have seen minimal to no pay increases since 2008. The last department-wide raise came in 2013, a 2% increase. But the county says otherwise. Since January 2016, the beginning of the county's fiscal emergency, the county says 392 firefighters received salary step increases, each at 5%. 184 of those firefighters got multiple increases during this time, and 64 promotions were given that came with higher salaries. The Firefighters Union says it wants a raise to create competitive wages to keep firefighters from leaving to other departments. The report shows our county firefighters are paid less than similar departments in the state, including Bakersfield, Fresno, Los Angeles, Ventura, and Visalia. The union says this makes it difficult to recruit or retain firefighters, but the fact-finding report says there is no evidence recruitment and retention are problems. saying firefighters are increasing their take-home pay with overtime. However, the report says if there is no increase in pay, it could impact recruitment and retention in the future. That's why it's recommending a 6% increase in pay over 2 years in 2 steps. Alex Fisher, 17 News.
Now there's a lot more information to unpack here. We have created a special web page that has all of our reporting and public documents regarding the fire department and its fire fund. You can find that on our website at kget.com.